Don't get above yourself. You're replaceable. They were wrong about everything she was, and the wedding would never recover from the truth. Stay with us. What looks like silence is actually restraint, because the woman they underestimated is about to change everything in one breath. Where in the world are you watching from tonight? Drop your city in the comments. Have you ever rewritten your own story? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Black Stories Untold with love, and ring that notification bell for more heartwarming stories that celebrate strength. The estate rises from the hillside like it has something to prove. White stone washed in morning light, windows tall and reflective, gardens clipped into obedience. Every inch of the place whispers money inherited rather than earned. Gwen Clark steps onto the gravel drive as if she has been here before, even though she has no. Her heels sink slightly with each step, but her posture never shifts. She moves forward with a calm that does not ask permission. She is early. She always is. The kind of early that allows her to see a space before it fills with voices and assumptions. The air smells like wet roses and cut grass. Somewhere inside the house, a string quartet rehearses the same perfect passage again and again. Gwen pauses just long enough to take it all in. Not in awe, in assessment. She is already mapping timelines in her mind. Deliveries, seating, light, sound, flow. This wedding exists in her head long before it will exist for anyone else. Her skin catches the light in a way that makes people look twice. Deep, warm, unmistakable. Her hair is pulled back, neatly exposing a face that carries quiet authority. Not softness, not hardness. Something steadier than both. She wears tailored black trousers and a silk blouse at the color of dusk. Professional, elegant, intentional. Nothing about her asks to be noticed. And yet she is. The front doors open, and a staff member steps out. Their eyes flicker over Gwen for half a second too long. The pause is subtle, but practiced. The look that tries to place her, guest, vendor, assistant, not quite landing anywhere. Gwen meets the moment with a polite nod and steps past them without explanation. She does not announce herself. She never has to. Inside the estate, the halls are already alive with quiet motion, florists adjusting arrangements, caterers moving with rehearsed urgency, voices low and efficient. Gwen moves through it all like a current. She does not raise her voice. She does not rush. She asks a question here, redirects a timeline there. Every instruction precise, every decision grounded. People listen even when they do not realize why. Then the laughter begins. It comes from the far end of the hall, a cluster of well-dressed women holding coffee cups and opinions. Their eyes track Gwen as she passes. The laughter is not loud. It does not need to be. It is the kind meant to be overheard. A comment slips out about how unexpected she is. About how impressive it must be for someone like her to land a wedding like this. The words are wrapped in admiration, but the tone carries something else. Surprise sharpened into judgment. Gwen does not slow. She does not turn. Her face remains composed, but the air shifts around her. The space tightens. She has felt this before. Boardrooms, galas, back hallways where power pretends it is neutral. She absorbs it without flinching. Grace has long been her armor. Excellence, her quiet rebuttal. Across the room, Knox Allen stands near a window watching the light change over the lawn. He is tall, broad-shouldered, immaculately dressed even in rehearsal attire. There is ease in his stance that comes from knowing the world has always made space for him. Yet something in his expression is restless. His gaze drifts not to the floral arch or the seating charts, but to Gwen. He watches the way she moves, the way people respond to her before they realize they are responding at all. He notices the laughter, the way it fades when she draws closer, the way no one introduces her by name, just the planner, as if she is an accessory rather than the architect of what they are all preparing to celebrate. Their eyes meet briefly across the room. Gwen does not smile. Knox does not look away. In that small moment, something unsettled takes root. The wedding has not begun, the conflict has not revealed itself, but the story already has, and the woman they never expected has just arrived. Knox Allen has learned to read rooms the way other men read contracts. He knows when a conversation turns brittle, when a smile is currency, when silence is safer than truth. He was raised inside spaces like this estate where power moves softly and cruelty rarely announces itself. So when Gwen Clark steps into the room, he feels the shift immediately, even before he understands why. He watches her from across the hall as if she is a detail the others have missed. She moves with precision, not urgency. Every step measured. Every interaction clean and intentional. People respond to her instinctively, then hesitate as if unsure whether they are supposed to. Knox notices that hesitation. The way hands pause mid-gesture. The way voices lower when she draws near. The way her authority is accepted without being acknowledged. He has seen this pattern before, though, never this clearly. It is the space between competence and recognition. The gap where excellence lives without protection. Gwen does not fill a room with noise, yet she changes its temperature. The staff adjusts when she speaks. The vendors lean in. And still, the guests speak around her rather than to her, as if naming her might make something uncomfortable real. Knox catches fragments as he moves through the estate, comments shaped like compliments. Surprise, masquerading as praise. Someone remarks on how polished she is for someone in her position. Another wonders aloud where she trained, as if her skill requires an explanation. Each sentence lands just far enough from cruelty to remain socially acceptable, close enough to leave a mark. He watches her absorb it all. She does not stiffen, she does not shrink. Her face remains calm, her voice steady. Knox finds himself unsettled by how practiced that calm feels, as if she learned long ago that reaction invites judgment and restraint is a form of survival. It is not the kind of grace that comes from comfort. It is the kind that comes from endurance. When he passes close enough to hear the laughter, he feels his jaw tighten. It is not directed at him, so no one expects him to respond. That is how it works here. If the insult is not explicit, it is not real. If the harm is quiet, it does not count. Knox has benefited from this logic his entire life, and suddenly it feels unbearable. He watches Gwen correct a seating chart error with a single glance. He watches her redirect a delivery without raising her voice. He watches her hold herself with a dignity that does not seek approval. And in doing so, he begins to see the wedding differently. The estate, the rituals, the family, the performance of unity built on unspoken hierarchy. There is a moment when their eyes meet again. Longer this time. Gwen does not ask for acknowledgement. She does not signal discomfort. She simply holds his gaze. In that look, Knox feels a question form that has nothing to do with the ceremony and everything to do with character. What does it mean to notice something and do nothing? What does it cost to remain comfortable when someone else is paying the price? He turns away, but the feeling follows him. It settles in his chest, heavy, insistent. The wedding he is preparing to step into suddenly feels fragile, built on politeness and silence, on traditions that ask certain people to endure and others to remain oblivious. Knox has always believed himself to be decent, fair, open-minded. But as he watches Gwen move through the room, carrying both brilliance and burden without recognition, he realizes decency is not proven by intention. It is proven by action. And for the first time, he understands that seeing something clearly is an invitation, one that once accepted cannot be ignored. The groom who notices everything is no longer just observing. He is waking up. The days leading up to the wedding move like a carefully choreographed performance, every hour accounted for, every detail polished until it shines. Gwen stands at the center of it all, yet remains curiously unnamed. People refer to her work constantly while speaking around her as if the ideas themselves appeared without origin. The florals are exquisite, the timing is flawless, the vision feels effortless, and still no one says her name. She is praised in fragments. A nod here, a smile there. Compliments delivered sideways rather than directly. Someone tells the bride how lucky she is to have such help. Another marvels at how organized everything feels for a wedding of this scale. Gwen listens and responds with measured professionalism. She thanks them when thanked. She clarifies when needed. She never corrects the language that minimizes her role. She knows the rules of this room. Correction would be read as attitude. Silence is safer. The jokes arrive softly, wrapped in laughter that pretends to be kind. A comment about how impressive she is for someone who looks so young. A remark about how surprising her accent is. Someone asks if she is the assistant, and when corrected, laughs it off as an honest mistake. The cruelty is never loud enough to confront, never sharp enough to call out without becoming the problem. Gwen continues moving, continues directing, continues delivering excellence with surgical precision. Her posture remains tall. Her voice remains even. She does not flinch when eyes linger on her skin before meeting her gaze. She does not react when conversations stall the moment she joins them. Grace is not a performance for her. It is a boundary. But the body remembers what the face refuses to show. Each slight lands somewhere deep, not as pain, but as pressure, a tightening, a quiet accumulation. Gwen feels it when she stands alone reviewing timelines, when she washes her hands in a marble bathroom meant for guests who will never know her name, when she adjusts the seating chart knowing exactly which tables will laugh the loudest. Knox watches all of this from the edges. He sees how often her instructions are second-guessed and how quickly her solutions are adopted once repeated by someone else. He notices how people smile at her, then turn to him for confirmation as if authority needs translation. He sees the way her competence is treated like a pleasant surprise rather than an expectation. One afternoon, he overhears a guest refer to her as part of the decor. It is said lightly, almost affectionately, as if Gwen is another curated detail chosen to enhance the atmosphere. Knox feels something sharp move through him, not anger yet, something closer to shame. Gwen remains unaware of the full weight of what he is seeing, or perhaps she is fully aware and has simply learned not to invite witnesses. She keeps working, keeps delivering, keeps absorbing, each moment carving clarity where exhaustion once lived. This is not new to her. She has navigated spaces like this before, rooms where politeness masks exclusion and compliments come with conditions. She has survived by being exceptional and invisible at the same time. But something is different here. The accumulation feels heavier, the laughter closer, the stakes higher. By the end of each day, she stands alone for a moment before leaving, taking a breath, reclaiming herself, reminding herself that her worth is not measured by who acknowledges it. Every slight sharpens her resolve. Every dismissal steels her spine. They believe she is simply doing a job. They believe her patience is compliance. They believe her silence is acceptance. They do not see what is forming beneath the surface, and they do not yet understand that quiet dignity is not weakness. It is preparation. The rehearsal dinner is designed to impress. Long tables dressed in linen the color of bone, candlelight flickering against polished glass, plates arranged with mathematical precision. The room hums with confidence and inherited comfort. It is meant to feel intimate, yet exclusive. A gathering that celebrates union while quietly reinforcing hierarchy. Gwen stands near the edge of the room reviewing final cues with the catering lead. She has already solved 3 problems no one else noticed. A delayed shipment rerouted, a seating adjustment that avoided a family conflict, a timing change that keeps the evening flowing without interruption. She blends seamlessly into the background she has built. The laughter starts near the head of the table. It begins casually, a story told with exaggerated ease, a voice seasoned by entitlement. Someone references how impressive the wedding has turned out and then pivots, mentions how surprising it is that someone like Gwen could pull it off. The words are softened with a grin, delivered as humor, the kind meant to invite approval. The pause that follows is brief. Then the laughter arrives. It is loud, unfiltered, encouraged by the comfort of numbers. Glasses clink, heads tilt back. The sound fills the room and lands directly on Gwen without ever saying her name. She is not addressed. She is discussed, reduced, framed as novelty, as exception. Gwen feels it immediately, the way the air shifts, the way the laughter presses against her skin. She does not move, does not turn. Her hands remain still at her sides, her posture unchanged. She has trained herself for moments like this. Reaction would give them ownership of her dignity. Stillness keeps it hers. Around her, no one intervenes. No one clears their throat. No one redirects the moment. Silence stands shoulder to shoulder with the laughter. The cruelty does not need defense when comfort protects it. Knox hears it from across the room. He feels it in his chest before he understands it with his mind. The sound lands wrong. Too sharp. Too pointed. He looks toward Gwen and sees her exactly as she is. Calm. Composed, unmoving. And suddenly that calm feels like evidence, not of indifference, but of endurance. He watches faces light up with amusement, people he has known his entire life, people who taught him what respect looked like. He watches them laugh without hesitation, without awareness, as if nothing precious is being taken. Something inside him shifts. He realizes he has heard laughter like this before and let it pass. Because it was easier. Because it did not target him. Because silence kept the peace. But tonight the silence tastes different. It feels heavier. Complicit. Gwen remains still until the laughter fades. She does not acknowledge the comment, does not demand space, does not need to. Her restraint is not submission, it is control. She has learned when to conserve her power, but Knox cannot unsee what he has seen. He sees the way her jaw tightens just slightly, the way her breath deepens once before settling, the way her eyes remain forward, refusing to grant the moment more weight than it deserves. And he understands that what has been presented as humor is in fact an erasure. A reminder of where they believe she belongs. He looks down at his hands and feels something fracture. The version of himself who believed decency was passive begins to dissolve, because doing nothing now feels like agreement, and agreement feels like betrayal. The laughter has crossed a line, not because it was loud, but because it was allowed. Gwen turns and walks away with quiet precision, returning to her work as if nothing has happened. The room resumes its rhythm. Conversations continue. Wine is poured, but something irreversible has occurred. The joke lingers in the air long after the sound has died. And for the first time, Knox understands that noticing is no longer enough. Silence is no longer neutral. And the man he thought he was is being asked to decide who he will become. The terrace behind the estate is quiet in a way the ballroom never allows. Stone cool beneath the night air, lanterns casting soft halos that do not demand attention. The sound of the ocean rests somewhere beyond the trees, steady and indifferent. Gwen stands near the balustrade, reviewing notes on her tablet as if the laughter from earlier never happened. The calm she wears now is not performative. It is reclaimed. Knox finds her there not with urgency, but intention. He does not call her name right away. He watches first. The way her shoulders settle once the noise is gone, the way her breath deepens when she believes no one is measuring her. He realizes he has not truly seen her until this moment. When he speaks, she turns toward him without surprise. Her expression is open but guarded, professional but unyielding. The distance between them is respectful yet charged with the residue of what has gone unsaid. He tells her what he witnessed, not the joke itself, but the weight of it. He does not apologize for others. He does not explain them away. He simply names what happened. Gwen listens without interruption. Her face does not change. There is no relief in being seen, only acknowledgement. She speaks then not defensively, not emotionally, but honestly. She talks about her work, about building order from chaos, about learning early that excellence was not optional, but armor. She mentions long nights and quiet sacrifices with the same tone one might describe the weather. Not because it did not cost her, but because she no longer counts the cost. She does not recount every slight. She does not list every room that underestimated her. She does not need to. Her presence carries the evidence. Strength shaped by repetition, discipline refined by necessity, dignity sharpened by restraint. Knox listens and feels something loosen inside him. He realizes how often he has mistaken calm for ease, how often he has benefited from comfort he did not earn. Gwen does not frame herself as a survivor or a victim. She does not invite sympathy. She stands in her truth and lets it exist without translation. She tells him she does not expect to be defended. She has learned how to navigate spaces that were not built for her. She does not ask him to choose sides. She does not ask him to speak. Her voice remains even, grounded, unapologetic. That is what unsettles him most, because he realizes this moment is not about rescuing anyone. It is about alignment, about whether he can continue forward knowing what he now sees. Knowing that the world he is preparing to step deeper into requires someone like Gwen to absorb harm quietly in order to maintain the illusion of harmony. He looks back toward the glowing windows of the estate. The laughter inside has resumed, the celebration rehearsed and polished, everything moving exactly as planned, and suddenly it feels hollow, built on silence, protected by convenience. Gwen closes her tablet and meets his gaze. There is no expectation in her eyes, only presence. She is not waiting for him to become anything. She already knows who she is. Knox understands then that the wedding is not the question. The question is whether he can stand inside a life that asks him to ignore what he knows, whether he can continue performing decency without practicing it. The terrace remains quiet. The ocean breathes steadily. And in that stillness, Knox sees her clearly for the first time, not as a disruption or a mirror, but as a measure. And the man he thought he was begins to feel insufficient. Morning arrives, wrapped in precision. The estate wakes with purpose. Staff moves quietly through corridors carrying trays and garment bags. Florals arrive in perfect timing. Chairs are aligned until symmetry feels inevitable. Everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Except Knox. He stands alone in a room meant for preparation and feels the walls closing in. His suit hangs nearby untouched. Family members drift in and out, offering reassurance disguised as instruction. This is how it is done. This is what it means. This is the moment that defines a man. Their words press against him like layered fabric, heavy and ornate. He nods. He listens. He performs agreement with practiced ease. But his mind keeps drifting. To Gwen standing in a service hallway, coordinating arrivals. To Gwen adjusting timelines while being ignored. To Gwen holding her dignity with both hands while others laughed without consequence. Every interaction with her has stripped something away from the narrative he was raised to believe. The certainty, the entitlement, the assumption that tradition is neutral. He watches his mother speak animatedly about photos and seating. He hears his father mention legacy and continuity. The words sound rehearsed, hollow. Knox realizes he has never asked himself whether this life fits him or whether he has simply worn it well. Outside, Gwen moves through the final checks with the same calm authority she has carried all week. She speaks softly but firmly. Every vendor listens. Every issue resolves. She is already preparing to disappear once the ceremony begins. That has always been the plan. Deliver excellence. Exit quietly. Let the celebration belong to those who believe they deserve it. She does not know Knox is watching. He sees how easily she could walk away from this place and remain whole, how little she needs its approval. That knowledge unsettles him more than any confrontation could. Gwen is not fighting to belong here. She never was. She is simply passing through. The contrast sharpens something inside him. Knox moves through the house, greeting relatives and guests. Each interaction reinforces the same values. Appearances matter. Harmony must be preserved. Discomfort should be smoothed over. Silence is a form of loyalty. He hears echoes of the laughter from the night before, tucked beneath polite conversation. No one mentions it. No one names it. That omission speaks louder than the joke ever did. He realizes the wedding is not just a celebration. It is a contract, one that requires him to accept certain erasures as the price of belonging, to smile when others are diminished, to stay quiet when dignity is treated as optional. The realization is slow but decisive. He is standing in the mirror, adjusting his cufflinks when it settles fully. The man reflected back at him looks composed, confident, ready, but the alignment is gone. The image no longer matches the truth forming beneath it. Across the grounds, Gwen finishes her final walk through. She checks the altar, confirms timing, ensures every detail aligns with the vision she was trusted to deliver. Her work is complete. Soon she will leave. Another event flawlessly executed. Another room navigated without incident. She has no idea that something irreversible is taking shape. Knox steps away from the mirror. The weight lifts and sharpens at the same time. For the first time, he understands that choice does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it forms quietly in the space between expectation and integrity. The wedding day has arrived. The ceremony is moments away. And Knox knows with sudden clarity that whatever happens next will define him far more than any vow spoken aloud. The ceremony space glows with intention. Chandeliers scatter light like promises across polished floors. Music swells gently, then recedes. Guests settle into their seats wrapped in silk and certainty. Everything is beautiful in the way beauty can distract from truth. Gwen stands just beyond the final row, scanning the room one last time. Every detail is aligned, every cue accounted for. Her work is finished. She should feel relief. Instead, there is a quiet vigilance in her chest, the kind that comes from knowing a room too well. Knox stands at the front beside the officiant. He looks composed, calm, the image of a man prepared to step into legacy. But beneath the tailored fabric, his breath is measured with intention. He is listening, not to the music or the murmured greetings, but to the undercurrent he now cannot unhear. It happens just before the ceremony begins. A voice carries from the second row, light, amused. Someone makes a remark about how impressive it is that the wedding turned out so well considering who planned it. Another chuckle follows. Soft, comfortable, familiar. The laughter is not meant to travel, but it does. Gwen feels it land like a hand on her back. She does not turn. She does not react. She has already decided this will not be the moment she breaks. She straightens a chair that does not need straightening. Focus is her refuge. Knox hears it clearly. The laughter ripples outward and then settles. The room resumes its breath. This is the moment when silence usually steps in to smooth the edges, when tradition absorbs discomfort and moves on. But Knox does not move. He steps forward slightly, not abruptly, not dramatically, just enough to shift the energy. The officiant pauses, sensing something unscripted has entered the room. Conversations still. The chandeliers seem to hold their breath. Knox turns toward the guests. His voice is steady, not raised, not angry, calm in a way that commands attention. He speaks of respect, of how humor can be a weapon when used without care. He names what has been happening all week without naming names, the assumptions, the erasure, the casual cruelty disguised as charm. He speaks of how excellence has been treated as novelty, how dignity has been mistaken for silence. The room stiffens. Some faces flush, others harden. A few look away. Gwen remains still, her pulse loud in her ears. She does not look at him. She listens. Knox continues. He says tradition is not an excuse to diminish someone who has carried this entire moment with grace and precision. He says laughter that requires someone else to shrink is not harmless. He says seeing clearly obligates action. The words land without apology. He turns then toward Gwen, not to elevate her, not to save her, simply to acknowledge her presence. The room follows his gaze. For the first time, all eyes settle on her, not as background, but as truth. Gwen lifts her chin. Her expression is composed, grounded. She does not soften the moment. She does not step forward. She stands exactly where she is, whole. Knox faces the room again. His final words are quiet, but unmistakable. He will not proceed as planned. Not while silence is mistaken for harmony. Not while dignity is optional. The stillness that follows is absolute. No one laughs. No one speaks. The chandeliers continue to glow. The music remains paused. The ceremony suspended between what was expected and what has just been named. And in that suspended moment, everything changes. The room waits for correction, for someone to smooth the moment and guide it back into comfort. This is how it has always worked. A pause, followed by permission to continue. But Knox does not offer that release. He stands at the altar with the weight of expectation pressing against his spine and feels it finally lift. Not because the choice is easy, but because it is clear. The future laid out before him now feels scripted in a way he can no longer accept, polished, predictable, built on silence that asks others to absorb harm so the story can remain intact. He looks at the officiant and shakes his head once. Small, decisive. There will be no ceremony today. A breath moves through the room like a wave. Disbelief travels faster than sound. Someone whispers his name as if it might pull him back into place. Knox does not respond. He steps away from the altar without haste. There is no anger in his movement, no drama, just resolve. He speaks again, but this time, not to the room, not to tradition. He speaks to himself. He refuses the version of love that demands performance over truth. He refuses the life that requires him to stand comfortably while others are diminished. He refuses to begin a marriage that depends on erasure to maintain peace. The gasps arrive then, sharp, uncontained. A ripple of shock spreads through silk and tailored suits. Faces stiffen, hands clutch pearls and programs. The illusion fractures. Knox turns toward Gwen. She stands exactly where she has been since the moment began. Composed, still, unmoved by the chaos unfolding around her. Her posture is straight, her gaze steady. She does not reach for him. She does not invite the moment. She simply remains present. And that is enough. He walks toward her, not as rebellion, but alignment. Each step measured, intentional. The distance between them closes as murmurs rise behind him. Someone calls his name again, louder this time. He does not look back. Gwen meets his eyes and sees no hesitation there. No performance. No heroics. Just a man choosing to stand where his values have already arrived. When he stops beside her, the room seems to tilt. The center of gravity shifts away from the altar toward something unplanned and undeniable. Gwen does not step forward. She does not step away. She allows the moment to exist without bending to it. Knox turns to face the guests once more. His voice remains calm, steady. He says nothing new. He does not need to. The choice itself has spoken. Silence fills the space where vows were meant to be. Gwen feels the weight of the room settle, then dissolve. Not because it has disappeared, but because it no longer belongs to her. She has done nothing to earn this moment, and nothing to lose from it. Her dignity remains untouched. Knox exhales slowly. The future he was handed lies behind him now unopened. Ahead, there is no script, no approval, only truth. He takes a breath and steps forward again, not toward the altar but toward the exit. Gwen walks beside him without hesitation, their pace unhurried, their presence unmistakable. The chandeliers continue to glow above a room frozen in its own reflection. The ceremony remains suspended in disbelief, and the two people who were never meant to stand together walk forward, leaving silence where expectation once lived. Gwen does not smile when the room fractures behind her. She does not lift her chin in triumph or allow satisfaction to soften her expression. Her face remains composed in the same way it has been all week, calm, steady, self-contained. The stillness she carries now is not restraint. It is certainty. She stands beside Knox without shifting her weight, without reaching for reassurance, without asking what comes next. This moment is not a reward. It is not a rescue. It is simply truth, arriving after a long delay. The room behind them is suspended in disbelief. Programs hang loosely in hands that no longer know what to do with them. Conversations have vanished, leaving only the faint hum of chandeliers overhead. People stare as if the air itself has been altered. They expected drama, tears, explanation. They expected Gwen to need something. She does not. Knox remains beside her, not as a savior, but as a man who has finally stepped into alignment. His presence is quiet, deliberate. He does not place a hand on her back or guide her forward. He does not claim the moment. He shares it. He walks when she walks. He stops when she stops. That choice matters. Gwen feels it in the way her shoulders stay relaxed, in the way her breath remains even, in the way her body recognizes that this moment does not ask her to perform gratitude or forgiveness. She has not begged for respect. She has not negotiated for dignity. She has carried it with her the entire time. As they move toward the exit, the silence stretches. It is not hostile. It is stunned. The kind of quiet that follows a truth too large to dismiss. Someone shifts in their seat. Someone else looks down, unable to meet Gwen's gaze. A few faces soften with something like recognition. Others harden into defensiveness. Gwen does not catalog them. She does not need to. Her work here is finished. Each step away from the altar feels lighter than the last, not because something has been gained, but because something heavy has been left behind. Expectation, judgment, the burden of being exceptional just to be tolerated. Knox glances at her once as they reach the threshold. Not for permission, not for validation, just to witness. Gwen meets his eyes briefly and nods. It is not approval. It is acknowledgement. They are moving forward without rewriting each other. Outside the doors, the air is cooler, open, unscripted. The sounds of the estate fall away, replaced by the quiet of trees and distant water. Gwen pauses for a moment, not to look back, but to ground herself, to feel the night air against her skin, to reclaim her body from the gaze it has carried all day. Knox waits beside her. Inside the room, something irreversible has occurred. A narrative has been broken, a hierarchy exposed, silence has been refused. But Gwen does not linger on it. She never stayed where she was not welcomed. She walks forward with the same dignity she arrived with. Whole, unshaken, unchanged by approval or rejection. Knox follows not because he has saved anyone, but because he has finally chosen to stand where truth already lived. And together they leave behind a room that will never again be able to pretend it did not see. The night opens around them like a held breath finally released. The estate behind them glows softly through tall windows, but its light no longer reaches them. Outside, there is space, air, silence that does not judge. The gravel beneath their feet crunches gently with each step, grounding them in something real. Gwen walks forward without hesitation. She does not pause to measure the moment or mark it as extraordinary. She has spent too much of her life surviving rooms that required her to shrink. This is not a room. This is open sky. And she has nothing left inside those walls. Her shoulders loosen as the distance grows. The tension she carried for days slips away, not dramatically but decisively. Like armor removed once, danger is past. She breathes deeply, feeling the night settle into her body. Her worth remains intact, exactly where it has always lived, within her. Untouched by laughter or silence. Knox follows a step behind, not leading, not claiming, simply walking alongside truth for the first time in his life. The inheritance he was handed now feels distant and small. What remains is clarity and the understanding that choosing alignment costs something, but betraying it costs everything. They reach the edge of the drive where the estate gives way to trees and darkness. There is no applause here, no witnesses waiting to interpret what has just happened. Only the quiet hum of insects and the low rhythm of water somewhere unseen. Knox stops walking. Gwen turns toward him. Her expression is calm, open, not expectant. She does not ask him what happens next. She has never needed answers from anyone else to move forward. This moment does not define her. It simply confirms what she already knew. He meets her gaze and feels the last of the old world fall away. The pressure to explain himself, the urge to be understood. None of that matters here. He does not speak of bravery or sacrifice. He does not frame the choice as noble. He names it simply. He chose truth. Not because it was easy, not because it promised reward, but because he could no longer live comfortably inside a lie. He chose alignment over inheritance. Integrity over performance, presence over permission. Gwen listens. She nods once. There's no forgiveness to grant and no gratitude to offer. She does not owe him either. What passes between them is mutual recognition. Two people standing fully in themselves without asking the other to fill a gap. The laughter inside the estate has faded, not replaced by outrage or pursuit, but by silence, a silence heavy with what cannot be undone. The room they left behind will spend years trying to name what happened, rewriting it, softening it, explaining it away. Out here, none of that matters. Gwen steps forward again, and Knox walks with her, their pace unhurried, their direction uncharted. There is no script waiting, no audience to satisfy, no permission required. Love does not arrive with fireworks or declarations. It arrives quietly, when truth is no longer negotiable. It settles in the space created when dignity is chosen again and again without compromise. Behind them, the estate stands unchanged and forever altered. Ahead, the night stretches wide, and the woman they never expected walks freely into it, carrying nothing but herself, while the man who finally saw her chooses to follow, not to claim her, but to meet her. This is love without permission, and it is enough. Before you go, pass this story forward. Every woman who has been underestimated is closer to her breakthrough than she knows. Share this video and help someone remember their power. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, drop a comment, and share it with a friend. And don't forget to subscribe to Black Stories Untold for more stories that uncover hidden struggles, celebrate strength, and remind us that every voice matters.